Hi friends, welcome back to Sharing Zoology. In this session, we are going to learn about human extraembryonic membranes. Extraembryonic membranes means the membranes in outside the embryo. Here in humans, these extraembryonic membranes are chorion, amnion, allantois, and yolk sac. These are the extraembryonic membranes in humans. So in humans, extraembryonic membranes includes the outermost one. This is the outermost one, chorion. This one is amnion. Then yolk sac and allantois. These are the four extraembryonic membranes around the embryo. So this one is embryo. These membranes are surrounded by this membrane, a membrane outside the embryo, extraembryonic membranes. And here suppose this one is endometrium. Suppose this part forms the endometrium of uterus. Here in this endometrium, we know the blastocyst stage of embryo, implanted in this endometrium. Let's see. See here, this is the structure of blastocyst. And this blastocyst implanted here. This blastocyst contains a group of inner cell mass and this is the outer cell mass. Trophoblast is outer cell mass. We know after implantation, this trophoblast split. This trophoblast split to form. The trophoblast split to form this outer one. This outer is syncytial trophoblast. Syncytial trophoblast, and this form cytotrophoblast. Syncytial trophoblast and cytotrophoblast. And this syncytial trophoblast penetrated to the endometrium and penetrated to the blood vessels of endometrium. We will explain later. During the formation of placenta, a number of changes occurs in this syncytial trophoblast as well as cytotrophoblast. We'll explain later in my next video. This trophoblast, like a cytotrophoblast and syncytial trophoblast, this trophoblast modified as the outer membrane or the outer extraembryonic membrane chorion. So this trophoblast will become the extraembryonic membrane chorion. So this chorion is formed from trophoblast. Okay. See here, this form the inner cell mass. A number of changes occurs in inner cell mass. I taught in my previous video about gastrulation. The changes in inner cell mass, the cells of inner cell mass undergo movement during gastrulation. I already explained about gastrulation in my previous video. Here, this is the cavity, amnion. In humans, this amnion is formed by a cavitation, the epiblast. You know epiblast. See here. Suppose this is inner cell mass. This part is inner cell mass. This inner cell mass split to form two layers, epiblast and hypoblast. And a cavitation or a cavity formed in this epiblast is called as, a cavity formed in the epiblast is called as amnion. So this cavity formed in this epiblast is called as amnion. See, this cavity is amniotic cavity, and this is the amniotic membrane. Actually, this amniotic membrane is nothing but the ectodermal cells of epiblast. So this membrane is known as amniotic ectoderm. This membrane is amniotic ectoderm. Then it contains the embryo. This is the embryonic portion. This is the primitive yolk sac. This part is the yolk sac. Another extraembryonic membrane, yolk sac. The membrane of this yolk sac is the primitive endoderm. Membrane of this yolk sac is the primitive endoderm. So here, this part forms the embryo. This is the embryonic region. Suppose this is the cytotrophoblast. This cytotrophoblast. And here in this stage, a new cellular layer formed inside the cytotrophoblast. A new cellular layer formed inside the cytotrophoblast. A new cellular layer formed inside the cytotrophoblast. This cellular layer is called as extraembryonic mesoderm. This newly formed cellular layer is called as extraembryonic mesoderm formed inner to this cytotrophoblast. So inner to this cytotrophoblast, this extraembryonic mesoderm is formed. Okay. Here, you know what are the structures seen inside this cytotrophoblast? Here this cavity amnion, then the embryo. What is this embryo? And followed by the yolk sac endoderm. This is the yolk sac endoderm. This yolk sac endoderm. Okay. So in this stage, this extraembryonic mesoderm is formed. The extraembryonic mesoderm is formed. See here in this stage, this extraembryonic mesoderm develop a cavity. This extraembryonic mesoderm develop a cavity. See, a cavity formed in this extraembryonic mesoderm. Now a cavity formed in this extraembryonic mesoderm. This newly formed cavity called as, this cavity is called as extraembryonic coelom. This formed cavity is called as extraembryonic coelom. The extraembryonic coelom is formed here. Now here this mesoderm. This is mesoderm. The lining of this extraembryonic coelom is this mesoderm. See here. This part is amnion. This is amniotic region. This amnion is formed of, this is the amniotic membrane. What is the amniotic membrane? Amniotic membrane is amniotic ectoderm. And here, this amnion have this covering, this extraembryonic mesoderm cover this amnion. Extraembryonic mesoderm cover this amnion. So this amnion is formed of extraembryonic mesoderm and ectoderm. See, extraembryonic mesoderm along with ectoderm. Extraembryonic mesoderm along with the ectoderm called somatopleur. Extraembryonic mesoderm along with the ectoderm called somatopleur. That means this amniotic membrane is formed of this somatopleur. Amniotic membrane is formed of somatopleur means extraembryonic mesoderm with the ectoderm from the somatopleur. Okay. Similarly, here, this is the mesoderm, this is the extraembryonic mesoderm. Here, this extraembryonic mesoderm cover this endoderm. This is known as the primitive endoderm. This extraembryonic mesoderm cover the primitive endoderm. What is this region? This is yolk sac. This part is yolk sac. So, yolk sac is covered by, or this yolk sac membrane is, this is the membrane of yolk sac. The membrane of this yolk sac is formed of this endoderm along with this extraembryonic mesoderm. Extraembryonic mesoderm along with endoderm called extraembryonic mesoderm along with the endoderm called splanchnopleur. So, extraembryonic mesoderm with the ectoderm called as somatopleur, extraembryonic mesoderm with the endoderm called as splanchnopleur. That means the yolk sac membrane is formed of splanchnopleur. So, the amniotic membrane is formed of somatopleur. That means extraembryonic mesoderm with ectoderm. Then the yolk sac membrane is formed of extraembryonic mesoderm with the endoderm or splanchnopleur. Okay. See, this is the extraembryonic coelom. From this stage, this extraembryonic coelom expands. This extraembryonic coelom expands. What happened? See here, this is the cytotrophoblast. This cytotrophoblast. See, this is extraembryonic coelom. This extraembryonic coelom expands. The expanding of extraembryonic coelom develop a large cavity. The expanding of extraembryonic mesoderm causes the formation of a cavity. So this extraembryonic mesoderm expands from a cavity. This new cavity is called as chorionic cavity. This cavity is called as chorionic cavity. We know this cytotrophoblast or this trophoblast will become this outer membrane chorion. So here inner to this trophoblast a cavity formed are called as chorionic cavity. And here a mesodermal remaining is here. The mesoderm remain as a link. Now this mesoderm layer, this is the mesoderm layer. See, this extraembryonic mesoderm remain here. And this extraembryonic mesoderm here reduced. The extraembryonic mesoderm reduced to only a link between this trophoblast and embryo. So this remaining of extraembryonic mesoderm that act as a link between this trophoblast and embryo, this remaining is called as a stalk. Now it acts as a stalk. Now it acts as a stalk which connect this embryo with this trophoblast. Okay. This This sac eventually developed as the vessels involved in this sac eventually developed as the vessels involved in the umbilical cord. We will discuss in later about umbilical cord. Umbilical cord is a vascular connection between placenta and embryo. See, in future this trophoblast will become placenta. The trophoblast become a part of placenta. And here this extraembryonic mesoderm here act as a sac. This sac eventually developed as the vessels of umbilical cord. Helps in the formation of umbilical cord. Umbilical cord is a vascular connection between placenta and embryo. So in future this trophoblast become placenta and that vascular connection between placenta as well as this embryo called as umbilical cord. So this sac will become involved in the formation of umbilical cord. Then see here, amnion, embryo and yolk sac. At this stage, the amniotic membrane expanded and folding of amniotic membrane takes place. See, this is amniotic membrane. This amniotic membrane then expand and folded. See what happened. This is the amnion. Now this amniotic membrane expand and folded. This amniotic membrane expand and folded to this embryo. What will happen? See, causes the folding of this embryo. Causes the folding of embryo. This is the endodermal region of embryo. This endoderm become alimentary canal. Then okay. See, along the folding of embryo, this yolk sac membrane also folded. This yolk sac membrane become also folded. Then this amniotic membrane continue its expanding and folding. What happened? So this amnion continues its folding. And this amnion completely cover this embryo. Now this amnion completely cover this embryo. And in this stage, a diverticulum arises from this yolk sac. A small diverticulum arises from this yolk sac. This diverticulum arises from this yolk sac is called as allantois. So this diverticulum arises from the yolk sac called allantois. This part will become yolk sac. You know what is the fate of this outer trophoblast? This part will become chorion and form all the extraembryonic membranes. Now all the extraembryonic membranes formed. Here these extraembryonic membranes are outermost one is chorion, then followed by amnion. This membrane is amnion. Then yolk sac and allantois. These are the extraembryonic membranes. So extraembryonic membranes are chorion, amnion, allantois and yolk sac. All these are the extraembryonic membranes. Okay. And here this amnion, we know this amnion is formed of This is amniotic membrane. This amniotic membrane is formed of somatopleure. Somatopleure means extraembryonic mesoderm with ectoderm. This extraembryonic mesoderm with ectoderm is amnion. Then this endoderm, this yolk sac. This yolk sac also covered by this extraembryonic mesoderm. And this allantois is actually developed or arises as a diverticulum from this yolk sac. So this yolk sac and this allantois is formed of. What are the membranes of this yolk sac? It is formed of this extraembryonic mesoderm and endoderm. This portion is endoderm. Extraembryonic mesoderm and endoderm or splanchnoplure. So here amnion is formed of extraembryonic mesoderm plus ectoderm. Extraembryonic mesoderm plus ectoderm called somatopleure. Then allantois and yolk sac. Allantois and yolk sac formed of extraembryonic mesoderm. Extraembryonic mesoderm. This extraembryonic mesoderm with the endoderm. Extraembryonic mesoderm with the endoderm called splanchnoplure. Okay. See here, these are extraembryonic membrane and the formation of extraembryonic membranes in humans. See here, this one is human embryo. This human embryo is protected by the extraembryonic membrane. See here, this is chorion, and this, what is this cavity? We know this is chorionic cavity. This chorionic cavity is filled with a fluid. This chorionic cavity is filled with fluid. Similarly, this is amnion. This cavity is amniotic cavity. This cavity is amniotic cavity. This amniotic cavity is filled with amniotic fluid. And this embryo is bathed in this amniotic fluid. See here. These are the fluid filled membrane. These extraembryonic membranes are fluid filled membrane. Animals having such a extraembryonic membrane, such a fluid filled extraembryonic membrane in their life, such animals are called as amniotes. Such animals are called as amniotes. Animals having the fluid filled extraembryonic membrane. What is the role of this fluid filled extraembryonic membrane? See here, this fluid filled membrane, particularly here this amniotic fluid, this fetus bathed in this amniotic fluid. The main function of this amniotic fluid is prevent the desiccation of embryo. The main function of this amniotic fluid is to prevent the desiccation of embryo. Desiccation of embryo means prevent the drying of embryo. So it prevents the desiccation or the drying of embryo. The main function of this amniotic fluid is to prevent desiccation of embryo or the drying of embryo. See invertebrates, fishes, amphibians. Their embryonic life takes place in water. In fishes and amphibians, their embryonic life completely takes place in water. As a result, there is no need of this type of fluid filled membrane for preventing the drying of embryo. See, in animal group like fishes and amphibians, their embryonic life in water, so there is no need of the fluid filled extraembryonic membrane for preventing the drying of embryo. So fishes and amphibians are included in anamniotes. Fishes and amphibians are anamniotes. There is no fluid-filled extraembryonic membrane for preventing this desiccation of embryo. Because they are embryonic live in water, there is no need of this fluid-filled membrane for preventing desiccation. But in terrestrial animals like reptiles, birds and mammals, they need this type of fluid-filled membrane for preventing the drying of embryo. So reptiles, birds and mammals are amniotes. So amniotes are reptiles, birds and mammals are amniotes. Reptiles, birds and mammals are included in these amniotes. So we humans are also amniotes. We have this fluid-filled membrane for preventing desiccation or the drying of embryo. Okay. Okay, these are extraembryonic membrane. Here this extraembryonic membrane include, this is the outermost one, chorion. This one is amnion and this is yolk sac and this part is allantois. And this amniotic cavity is filled with the amniotic fluid. Okay. The extraembryonic membranes are, first one, chorion. This is chorion, outermost membrane. This chorion cover all other extraembryonic membrane and embryo. So this embryo as well as all these extraembryonic membranes are covered by the outermost membrane, chorion. And this chorion is formed by the fusion of extraembryonic mesoderm and trophoblast. It is formed by the fusion of extraembryonic mesoderm and trophoblast. And from this chorion, the finger-like projection developed as chorionic villi, we will explain it later. Anyway, this chorion helps in the formation of placenta. Function, it helps in the formation of placenta. Okay. Next one is this allantois. Next extraembryonic membrane is allantois. For allantois function, this allantois is very much reduced in human and this allantois is vestigial in man. It is very much reduced and vestigial in man. This allantois is formed of, we know this is allantois. This allantois is formed of splanchnoid mesoderm and endoderm called as splanchnopleur. This allantois helps in the formation of umbilical cord. You know, here see the remaining of extraembryonic mesoderm act as a stack which helps in the formation of the umbilical cord. See, this allantois also take part in the formation of this umbilical cord, vascular connection between placenta and fetus. So it helps in the formation of umbilical cord. These allantois take part in the formation of umbilical cord. And this allantois reduced to some receptors of urinary bladder. So it take part in the formation of urinary bladder. This allantois reduces to temporary receptacle of urinary bladder of fetus. Okay. Then third one is yolk sac. This yolk sac is also vestigial in man. It is reduced because there is no need of yolk sac and yolk sac nutrient in human, because in human development this embryo or fetus get nutrients from the maternal body through the placenta. So this yolk sac also reduced in human, or it is vestigial in man. But here, similarly as like allantois, this yolk sac is also formed of splanchnoid mesoderm with endoderm or splanchnopleur. Then here the role of this yolk sac, blood cell production begins in yolk sac. Hematopoiesis or the blood cell production begins in yolk sac. So in this yolk sac blood cell production begins, and The sex cells like primordial germ cells. Primordial germ cells are the fundamental cell from which spermatogonia and oogonium were formed. That primordial germ cells are formed in this yolk sac. Primordial germ cells formed in yolk sac. Then it also helps in the formation of this umbilical cord. This yolk sac also helps in the formation of umbilical cord. Okay, so this one yolk sac. Last one is amnion. This amnion is filled with the fluid, amniotic fluid, and the fetus or embryo bathed in this amniotic fluid. Functions of this amniotic fluid includes: first one, it acts as a shock absorber. It acts as a shock absorber. Then it prevents desiccation of embryo. It prevents the desiccation or the drying of embryo. This amniotic fluid prevents the desiccation or the drying of embryo. Then it maintains equal temperature around the embryo. It maintains equal temperature around this embryo. It maintains equal temperature around this embryo. Then it protects the embryo during the vigorous contraction of uterus. It protects the embryo during the vigorous contraction of uterus. Then it helps in the easy expulsion of fetus during childbirth, because during childbirth this membrane ruptured and this amniotic fluid released through the vagina, and that amniotic fluid passes through the birth canal, help act as a lubricant for the easy passage of fetus. These are the functions of amniotic fluid. So in this session, we learned about the extraembryonic membranes, their formation and the functions of these extraembryonic membranes. Okay, thank you for watching my video. Please like, share and subscribe my channel, Share in Zoology. Okay.